Hello, I'm Adriana and welcome in. Today's reading is for someone who needs some clarity or awareness of what the next step is for you. I am a clairaudient channel. I have been working on expanding essentially my natural gifts for the last 8 years. Every single day working on my vibration to clear out any density and become an even clearer channel for those seeking growth. So let's go ahead. How do we need to align our energies today? Okay, so let's just take a moment to get centered. Whatever that means in your awareness, in your language, just coming into that special space in yourself. This time is really about being inward, being really in touch with that inner voice. And so we just need to take a little bit of a moment to honor that and connect with that. Okay, so please give us some guidance on the next steps. And also, what are we working on right now? What is the big spiritual lesson we're working on? Okay, the Chariot comes up for us. Now, this scary thing for me, this is a new deck. I haven't practiced with it. You are the first reading. So, what is coming through with the Chariot is your path is already laid out. This is about accepting the path that has been laid before you. And what you may not understand are certain steps on your path. So let's back up. You know why you're here, where you're supposed to go, but it's unclear to you why certain things have been and are in your path right now. Like, how do they really relate to you? How are they supposed to help your purpose? It seems like, so let's say, okay, I know my purpose is to be a deep diving instructor, like in the ocean, deep, whatever that's called. You can tell that's not my calling. Anyway, so my purpose is to do that, to go down for the ocean. But for some reason, the boats aren't sailing, and instead I'm going for walks in the woods. And you're like, why am I going for these walks in the woods? I should be going into the ocean, but for some reason there is a gap between, or the path is not as straightforward as you would like to think. And the other thing that's frustrating is that you don't seem to be in charge of this path. So maybe you try to do things that you feel are on the right path, and maybe it doesn't work. And yet you still keep getting consistent messages that you're in the right place, focused in the right direction. This card really is more like the Hanged Man, talking about surrendering to the path that is in front of you. Let's talk about your strengths right now. 5 of Swords and the Queen of Cups. So this appears that we're on an emotional journey of compassion, of understanding what is going on with the people that are opposing you, what is going on with the people that are for you, but really starting to come into a deeper sense of self-appreciation and self-awareness. And because of this, it feels like your patience is increasing, your heart is starting to open more, and you're giving people more leeway than you had in the past, than perhaps feeling like oppressed by them or feeling as though their behavior always negatively impacts you. You're starting to understand that, maybe there are other things going on, and you're opening up to, what I love about this card is it's 2 animals that are completely different species. This one flies in the air, this one swims in the sea, yet they're depicted as aligning with each other. So there's this idea that your ability to step outside your own box is really increasing, and your ability to, this is first of all helping you achieve more peace of mind, but it's also helping you to expand your heart and expand into that higher consciousness of compassion, especially for those different than you. And there's something else trying to come through with this Five of Swords. The Five of Swords, I love these narcissists that she put on here, because Five of Swords, a bully, a narcissist, right? It's a little bit of a play. And this says that you're learning that it's like you're learning the limits of the self, or learning the limits of pure self-interest. When you're purely self-interested, you really can only get so far. It's when we let go of this self and we expand into that compassion through seeing another person's point of view, or through caring about or even considering what might be going on with someone else, that we not only open ourselves up to a different world, but we expand literally past the self. I mean, this is such a huge concept. I'm not even sure what to say, because it's such a big concept. Again, going back to this card, they breathe they breathe air, but they certainly eat different things and they move through different mediums, but yet there's a point of understanding between the two of them. It even seems, I mean, to me, this feels like a very loving relationship going on. And so it's an ironic thing that you're learning, because the key to self-love is actually release of the self, release of the ego. By releasing who you are and who, where your limitations are as far as what you tolerate from other people, by releasing that and having some compassion for where they stand, your sense of self is actually expanding. I have no idea if that made sense. But that's what's coming through. And it's the kind of thing when you're looking at a bully or a childhood, like a playground bully, and you're realizing they come from an abused father. It doesn't mean, or a father, well, the father was probably abused too, but the bully is abused by the father, and that's why he tries to do the same to people lesser than him. And it's not excusing their actions, but it's understanding them. And in understanding them, it removes that sting of the self. It removes that sting of, I have to take it personally because they did it to me. And no, they actually did it because of them. So we're going to draw another card to get into your strengths here, because I find this very interesting. Okay, the Star. I love this card. Such a good healing energy. So in this understanding about release of the self to come to more compassion, to come to more kindness, you are actually, this is confirmation of the healing that's happening between you and your higher self. Because the higher self, we call it a self, really has no self. It has an individuality because it's connected to your soul, but it's not the same self that we see here. It's the higher aspect of you, but it is not a self. The point is that it's coming back into this alignment, and you find yourself reinvigorated and recharged with this broader, expansive feeling of love and oneness with everyone and everything around you. It's like you found your compass again. So while you perhaps have been trying to drive things on the earth, the funny message here is that the path right now, what will be progress on your path, is actually about exploring those realms of self-compassion, compassion for others, expansion into the energy of the Star, which provides healing and growth for all those around it. That renewed sense is where you're headed next. What I'm seeing is like the Star starts to drive the Chariot. I'm trying to remember, Chariot is number 7 and the Star, I believe, is number 8. Right, so 7 and 17. So this one feels very earthy. This one feels very ethereal. But what's going to happen is that the ethereal comes more in control. Your actions and your path start to unfold from a place of higher consciousness rather than just pure momentum or pure drive. that we see with the Chariot. Now what other questions do we need to ask? Okay, let's look at any blocks or resistance you might be experiencing. King of Cups and the Knight of Swords. Okay, so your strength came out as the Queen, but the block is the King. So it just lets you see the difference between the two cards. I love it because his mate is right there, and that Queen right here. Okay, so what is going on? Let's do one at a time. Emotional responsibility. That is one thing that can get in your way here. Either you're not willing to do it, or you're not seeing where you need to do it. Okay, now what's funny about all of this is that our emotions are completely personal, and they are completely created by ourselves. There's nothing, how do I say this? Because of our journey, because of your specific journey, because of the things that you have gone through, you react to certain situations in a specific way. I may react to that same situation in a different way. And neither one of us is right or wrong, but the point is that at every moment, we are responsible for our emotions. And not recognizing that is holding you back from your truer power. The Knight of Swords would be taking the right action. He's returning, the raccoon could eat that little baby bird, but he's returning it to the mother. So he's actually acting against his nature to do the right thing, to do the true thing. And so when we get tied up in our emotions and we don't take responsibility for them, we start to say, well, it's coming from what they're doing, or it's coming from what the situation is, or it's coming from how they're treating me or how they're viewing me. Then our action gets skewed. So it's really important that you empower yourself by taking emotional responsibility for everything you are feeling. It's because of memories, it's because of belief systems and reactions that you're reacting the way you are. Okay. Any other? Okay, I think we're going to close advice. I'm going to close with an advice card, Knight of Pentacles. Oh, that's fun. I've been reading a lot about elephants these days. So it's slow and steady wins the race. It's funny because in other decks, sometimes they use like a Taurus imagery or a bull to be the Knight of Pentacles, and we started with that bull here. But there's a majesty and a sacredness, and even though this is a Knight of Pentacles, there's a flow to the rhythm of an elephant. And apparently, I didn't know this, elephants don't stand still. They actually have to continue rocking to be stable. They're not, when you look at a horse or you look at a cow, they're rock solid, but an elephant actually has more fluid in its feet in order to cushion the weight of the foot coming down. There's like this jelly in the sole of the foot. And so even though elephants are so rooted and so powerful, they're actually quite squishy. There's more water in them than what we realize. And so at the end of this, that's what we're all pulling together, is the water, the compassion, the love, the emotional responsibility, all coalescing into stability, Knight of Pentacles, that takes you far on your journey, that is going to take you farther on your journey than what you realize. And this is hearing the call. All right, the proceeding on your path and the trusting the way that's being unfolded in front of you, even if it does not seem linear, that is the way forward for you. Okay, I'm going to close the reading there, but thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.